Welcome to Garden Views, interesting conversations with interesting people who have done and or are doing interesting things. So sit back and enjoy.
Welcome everyone into the garden this week, and we're very pleased to have with us Alan Moore. He actually has two schools, but the one I have up in front of me is CMERA. That stands for Coastal Marine Education and Research Academy. And yes, folks, what that means is this is the Marine Biology Show. And for those of you who have been with me for this ride the entire time, you know that I've been waiting to be able to say the sea was angry that day, my friend. So today the sea was angry that day, my friend. Do you, sir, have a Teistelist for me?
Well, just a little bit about me. Started off in federal law enforcement before I got into this. And 14 years ago, started CMERA, the Coastal Marine Education and Research Academy, to study sharks and rays, specifically, though, for college students, because college students studying marine biology really need field research experience. And that's what they don't get in school. So that's why we started the whole thing. And then this year, we're starting a new 4-year private college called Moore Marine College, dedicated just towards marine biology and marine conservation.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So I have to ask, what federal law enforcement were you in? I mean, I guess Coast Guard comes to mind, but that doesn't mean that's what it was.
So actually, I was a lieutenant in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and then for a while, I was a federal air marshal.
Okay, so you saw the sea from above.
Yes.
That's great. Well, thank you for keeping us safe on those flights. I assume since you're here, that means all the flights took off and landed safely and securely.
Exactly. Everything went fine.
Or you were the sole survivor. You know, either way, it's a Jason Statham story.
There you go.
All right. So you're starting the Moore College. That's all right. That's a land mammal, though. That's what's going on that script. But that's all right.
He's welcome to.
That's it, indeed. Is this going to be a 4-year? Like, who accredits a marine biology school?
So the Florida Commission on Independent Education is the one that does that. And it's a quite lengthy process to get licensed by them. But we are licensed now and able to give classes and diplomas just like any other college in Florida.
That's great. Is it a 501c3 tax exempt? Or are you a for-profit? Or
We're actually a for-profit, yes.
Okay, that's great. So, how is this your initiate class? Is this the first inaugural class?
Yes, we're actually going to start in the fall of this year, of 2024.
That's great.
That's our first class in the fall.
And how are applications going so far?
So far, so good, because marine biology students really need that field research experience. And what we're doing with the college is we're saying, okay, if you come to our college, we're going to combine your academics along with practical learning. We're going to take you out into the field at least 60 days in a calendar year and get you out there and really do research. And that's just what they're lacking in normal college.
Is the school going to work in some sort of formal relationship with CMERA?
Yes. Well, we'll be using the boats from CMERA because we have 5 research vessels now that we use during the summer. So we're just going to use those year round. And the students that participate in the college will also be able to go out on the CMERA research boats in the summer for sharks and rays.
That's great. And yeah, you were telling me in pre-production that you sort of specialize in sharks and rays. And I mean, everyone loves sharks and rays. I mean, except for the Steve Irwin family. I mean, they've got Shark Week and all that. So you mentioned Clearwater. I assume that's Clearwater, Florida.
Correct.
And you mentioned the Florida State for the board as well. So those were 2 clues that I was able to plug together. So I take it you're on sort of the Panhandle, west coast of Florida.
We're right next. We're on the west coast, but down near Tampa.
Okay. What kind of sharks you got there?
Well, we studied 12 different species of shark and 6 different species of ray. So everything from small Atlantic sharp-nosed sharks up to the bigger ones. Our biggest that we have around here are great hammerheads, but we also do tiger sharks, bull sharks, lemons, fine tooth, and several more.
Okay, hammerheads. Why the heck are their eyes all the way there on their hammerhead? Like normally, like we were told that predators have their eyes going forward. The non-predators have their eyes going side to side so they can sort of see what's all around them and run away quickly. Well, the hammerhead is obviously a predator, so why does this defy reality, or is it just because they're so damn tough that they beat evolution just because of toughness?
Okay, so their favorite food are stingrays. That's their favorite food. So they actually use that hammer to pin stingrays down to the sand. They kind of spin and bite one wing off, then they kind of spin around and bite the other wing off so the stingray can't get away. So that's actually what they use. It's a better detector because they have electrical sensors basically from eye to eye across their hammer. And so they can detect the stingrays down in the sand, and they use that hammer to pin them down and eat them.
Wow. So that is pretty useful. But they're eating their cousins.
That's true. But a lot of sharks kind of do that. They eat other sharks.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. So there's a shark eat shark world down there. Aside from the hammerheads, which are the big predator sharks that you have down there?
I guess we would say tigers and bulls.
Okay.
They have the worst reputation, although they're really not that bad.
You're defending them. So tiger shark, I assume, has some sort of stripage. A bull shark, what is it, more sort of boxy?
Yeah, bull sharks are a little bit more stocky. They're kind of the muscular-looking shark, and they can inhabit fresh water for long periods of time. They've been found 1,500 miles up the Mississippi. Those sharks are noted for several shark attacks. 3 in New Jersey River one time that spawned a book called Jaws. And the bull sharks, what they're doing is they're hunting in very turbid waters where people, they can't see you at all. So if you're in the water, they don't have any hands. The only way they can tell what you are is to take a little nibble. But sometimes they're pretty big and they take a big nibble.
So you said that sometimes they go 1,500 miles into fresh water. And this is one of the things that people have explained to me. And then they say, what's the difference between an animal that lives in freshwater and saltwater, and how are there ones that adapt that can do both? Because I understand it has something to do with buoyancy and filtration and how they get oxygen and things like that.
It's mostly the salt content, how to get the salt out of them. And bull sharks have just adapted to where they can go into fresh water. Now, some of our smaller sharks can tolerate lower salinity, so less salt in the water. So they might be around estuaries or where a river's coming into the ocean. But bull sharks can actually tolerate fresh water for quite a long time. They even have a whole population in Lake Nicaragua, down in Nicaragua. Wow.
So is the reason why mammals that, like dolphins, porpoises, and whales don't go into fresh water, is it mostly because there's just not enough water, there's not enough buoyancy, they're too big?
Well, it's not that necessarily, because manatees, they live in fresh water, but they can come into salt water, and they do to travel up and down the coast, but they can't drink it. And if it's too cold, it's bad for them, below 68. So they go back into the rivers. And dolphins too, some species of dolphins live in rivers. And some of our bottlenose dolphins around here, they'll go into rivers sometime and come back out, but their main food source is in the ocean. So that's why they stay there.
Very interesting. Is a manatee related to a seal, or is it sort of its own thing?
It's sort of its own thing. It's more closely related to elephants. Go figure that one out.
You figure it out. You tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
What about a walrus? Is that closer to an elephant or to a seal?
Now, that's a good question. I have no idea about walrus.
Yeah, finally. Okay.
You stumped me on that one, because we don't have any of those around here, unfortunately. We don't have some of the fun stuff.
Well, it sounds like you got some fun stuff. Which are like the meanest? It's like never, like you would think that the walruses with the huge tusks would be the meanest, but like is a sea lion meaner, or is it a little seal that's meaner? Like which is the meanest sea mammal?
I'm going to go with leopard seals. Mm-hmm. Those things, I don't know if you've seen pictures of them, but they're pretty terrifying. So sea lions, people are in the water with sea lions all the time and have, minor interactions where sea lions are grabbing their fins or grabbing their mask and messing with them, but not malicious, really. They're playful.
Right.
Leopard seals, on the other hand, those guys are a little bit on the meaner side.
Which are the ones that are on like San Diego, Mission Bay, which if you get too close, they get grumpy, but
those are regular sea lions and California sea lions. And Yeah, you can get pretty close to them. I've been within feet of them, but if you go try to touch them or anything, they do bite, and they're not super happy about it. Sometimes they'll bark at you like a dog.
And they're big. And they're
Oh,
smart.
they can get really big. Yes.
Is their intelligence sort of comparable to a dog?
To a dog?
Yes.
I would say similar to a dog. Yeah. I mean, of course, dolphins are the smartest, but some of the smartest creatures in the ocean, octopus.
Oh, see, you're beating me to my own segue. But yeah, wait. So let's talk about the octopus. First of all, octopuses or octopi are both acceptable.
So really, both are acceptable. It's kind of like if you're basing it off of Latin, octopi is more correct. But if you're basing it off of regular English, then octopuses is more correct. But usually either one works fine.
Okay, so if you say either one, you're not going to sound like a dummy to play a marine biologist. Okay, well that's good to know because people always ask me, and because fish and fishes, I was told at some point that fishes is when there's multiple different kinds, species of fish.
Right.
Fish is just plural, general, which can be writ large, or if there's like 1,000 salmon there, it's fish.
Yeah.
But if it was like one salmon, one trout, and one tuna, it's fishes.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So I got that right. All right. So octopuses are obviously part of the cephalopods, not the cetopods. That's right. That's the whales, the cetaceans.
Cephalopods, right?
Yeah. And I learned a few years ago, sort of to my surprise, that a killer whale is not a whale; it's a porpoise.
Yeah.
So I know we're going to go to octopus, but I guess. Where do we cross the line from whale to porpoise, or do we just do it like killer whale is the biggest porpoise, and anything after that is a whale? Or there must be other differences just beyond size, because there's rather modest sized whales as well.
Right, and most of our really large whales are all filter feeders. Compared to killer whales, which are definitely not. Because they're kind of carnivores. They'll eat pretty much whatever they can get a hold of. Other sharks, dolphins, whatever. But we do have some toothed whales that are bigger than the killer whales. So
the unfortunately named sperm whales.
Yes, exactly. They're toothed whales.
Are there others?
I don't know right offhand how many toothed whales there are. I think pilot whales are toothed whales, but not my specialty, kind of.
What about the ones with the narwhals, the ones with like the swordfish?
Yeah, the unicorn whales.
Yeah.
Yeah, the narwhals. Yeah, I would assume that they would have to be toothed whales because they're going to be killing fish and stuff with that protrusion, their unicorn, and eating the fish with it.
That's like their hammerhead version, except it's to shake up the environment.
It's like a sword.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not for stabbing, more for like shaking the bushes. But And belugas look a little bit like narwhals, but they don't have the unicorn. Are they toothed whales, or are they?
They're dolphins, but they're toothed.
Oh, really? So belugas are dolphins. Yeah. So they're also whales.
I guess technically, I'm not sure if they're dolphins or whales, really.
I don't know.
Man.
Well, I'm certainly not going to break this tie, so it's all right. We can rope around to it if we need be. So let's jump back into the octopus.
I'm sure the belugas are whales, not dolphins, though.
Okay, then we answered it. That's good. Do we know what is the difference between a dolphin and a porpoise, and a dolphin, porpoise, and a whale?
Man, between a dolphin and a porpoise, that's it. You got me out of my element here.
I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if this rings a bell. Again, I'm not the marine biologist, but maybe I have a future in it. Who knows? Or maybe I'm just a future in trivia stuff, or maybe I'm just pulling stuff out of the air and it's nonsense. But my understanding is that porpoises have sharper teeth and a stubbier nose. Dolphins have longer snouts, but sort of rounder teeth, less canine-ish.
Yeah, makes sense. A lot of people actually get bit by dolphins. They look very friendly and nice and stuff, but they're just as capable of biting as anything.
I was at, this is a bit of an aside, but it's a podcast, so there's really no such thing as aside. I was at a Club Med, I don't know, it had to be in the 90s, so, I'm not even sure if Club Med still exists. I think maybe Sandals bought them. Doesn't matter. It was in Turks and Caicos. My parents paid for it. Lovely. We had a lovely bay, and there was a dolphin that would come in and swim with the people and all that. But it wasn't an event. It was a wild dolphin. Mm-hmm. And if you talk to the staff members there, they'd say, well, it's actually really sad. And we say, well, why is it sad? It sounds like he's having fun. He can go swim with his friends. They go by every morning and every night. Said, well, no, he can't go with his friends because he doesn't have any friends. Because he's sort of like, picture a human that was raised by wolves and doesn't know how to act with humans. That's how he is with the other dolphins, and they kick him out. They won't let him stay in their pods or whatever the right term was. Right. And so he comes and hangs out with us, but the rest of the time when there's nobody here, he's alone. And that always stuck with me. Is they're like the opposite of a feral, or the dolphin version of a feral dolphin?
Yeah, some of the well, really, the groups are usually females and juveniles. The males are usually the ones that are more solitary. They only get together in groups sometimes when they're feeding or chasing the females, mm-hmm. which is typical. So sometimes in those male groups, they might get booted out of that group for whatever reason.
Okay. So it might not just have been because he didn't know how to socialize with other dolphins. It might have been that there was already an alpha male there, or the women weren't interested in it.
Yeah. An unattractive dolphin, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he was a very bad lover, right? For on the dolphins. Maybe they have dolphin Tinder for this poor. Well, he's probably long dead by now.
He needs something.
What is the lifespan of like a? I'm sure it varies, but greatly. But what's like the lifespan for like a sea mammal?
Well, I mean, dolphins can be 40, 50 years in captivity. Out in the wild, 20, 25 years.
I had read recently that there's a giant, I think it's called a whale shark off the coast of Greenland that they're saying is like 420 years old or 500.
A Greenland shark.
Yeah.
Those Greenland sharks, they're kind of interesting shark too. They actually are blind. So they have this little parasite that crawls up and actually feeds on their eye. So the Greenland sharks are blind, but yeah, they can live up. They found a female that was close to 400 years old or something, and they feed on a lot of dead seals and stuff that end up in the water. But they actually have like a protruding jaw, like an alien, kind of comes out, shoots mm-hmm. and grabs stuff.
You bet.
They're super slow. They're very slow, and big sharks live in the freezing cold in Greenland. Yep. But they've actually been found other places in the Gulf of Mexico. They found one at 6,000 feet or something a few years ago.
Well, I guess the water's cold enough, and if the eating's good. Okay, let's go back to this blindness thing, because I'm not sure what's the cause and the effect. Are they always blind, and so the parasite eats their eyes because no harm, it's just a symbiotic relationship? Or are they blind because parasites eat their eyes?
Yeah, exactly. It's blind because the parasites get on them and then crawl up to their eye and feed on their eye.
So they have no defense, these parasites, and so baby, is there like any baby Greenland shark anywhere that has ever been detected of any age significance that still has sight?
They probably do for a little while until those parasites get up there and start feeding on their eye. So probably juveniles have a little bit of sight until that happens to them. But all the adults are going to be blind from that parasite.
I really feel like there should be like a Pixar movie or a children's book on the Greenland shark that avoided all of these things and managed to live for 520 years with its sight intact. Maybe it developed, I don't know, Greenland shark sunglasses, like goggles.
Something. It needed some parasite spray or something.
Well, maybe Dr. Evil can develop them in addition to the lasers on their head, so it could be sort of a relationship. You can see, you just act as my undersea army of laser-bearing sharks.
Everybody needs a shark with a laser beam attached to their head.
I couldn't. That's exactly why you're on the show. I couldn't agree with you more on that.
Yes.
A lot of this show has presented Bond villain scenarios, but actually, in not a completely ridiculous scenario, just to try to test the theories of international law in international waters and what it might be in space. So anyone who's listened to the show, you already have heard my multiple bond scenarios. Those of you who have not, go back and listen to almost any one of the shows with the space journalists or the law professors, and you'll hear me go through my, if you want to hear sort of an uncomfortable one, you should listen to the one with maritime law professor Holly Durima. She was not interested at all in my Bond villain scenarios. So thank you, Professor, for being on the show. You actually kicked off that series. All right, so back to the octopus.
Yes.
So everyone saw that thing on Netflix, My Octopus Friend. We keep hearing how smart they are. I've read that just for the fun of it, an octopus likes to throw things at passing fish. They have great memories. They're really smart. They're ultimate chameleons. Tell me, is this true that in the 1 to 3 year that these magnificent creatures live, that they're actually like geniuses of the sea?
Absolutely. And some of them could live a little bit longer, up to maybe 5 years. So there's an aquarium, I won't mention which one, but they had an octopus tank and they had a crab tank about 20 feet away. And they couldn't figure out how the crabs were disappearing. So finally they put up webcams to watch. So after everybody would leave the aquarium at night, the octopus would crawl up the top of his tank, attached to the utility lines that were coming down to the tank, go up to the ceiling, crawl across the ceiling, drop down into the crab tank, eat crabs, then go back and cross back over into his tank before the morning when everybody showed up.
Now that is a smart octopus.
That's right. And they do that kind of thing all the time. They have so many adaptations besides their camouflage, like say they're getting attacked by a fish or something and it has one of its tentacles. They could literally just drop the tentacle, spray some ink and leave. The fish has got a tentacle and they're gone. And they can regrow it. They regenerate the tentacle. So they're pretty amazing. They're really smart. You can stick them inside of a jar, screw the lid on, they'll unscrew the lid and get out. They can fit into super small places. As long as their beak can get through it, they can get through it. So they can live in crazy, harsh environments. The rarest octopus, the Dumbo octopus, actually lives at around 13,000 feet, which is crazy to be living down there. And they're super neat, and they're all venomous as well.
Why is it called Dumbo? Does the big ear-like protrusion?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it has.
And the beak, I assume, is the hardest part of it, the least flexible part of it.
Yeah, and that's what they use to crack open shells, and they'll actually put a toxin into the shell to kind of paralyze the animal, and then they can eat it.
How venomous? I mean, I'm sure that there's a billion different species of the octopuses, but let's just say one that you'd see in an aquarium that's, basically the size of a volleyball or whatever. How venomous is that to a, regular sized human?
Right. So probably the most venomous, I guess, are the blue ring octopus. And if they bite you, you're going to have swelling, disorientation, things like that. But it's only been fatal about 3 times that we know of.
Okay.
Probably somebody that's susceptible to that already, but it's rarely fatal, but certainly painful.
Are there any
kind of like
giant
stingray barbs?
Not like stingray barbs. Those are Are there any giant ones down there that take down like Cutty Sarks and Man of Wars and Three Masters and old timey ships from like 20,000 leagues under the sea?
We're going to say that there are somewhere.
Okay. Fair enough.
We're going to say that there are somewhere. Well, I mean, we've only explored around 5% of the ocean, so you never know what's down there.
It's true. I mean, listen, the Meg and the Meg 2, I mean, taught us that, and underwater as well. Basically a beta test for the Meg. But anyway.
Yeah. I would love to see a Meg. That would be fantastic. From a distance, of course.
Yeah, from a safe distance, exactly. Or a very, very strong cage. Or at least have Jason Statham, out there on the Skidoo out there patrolling.
Yeah, if you've got him, you're safe.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that he ensures safety in many situations.
Exactly.
All right. So, what do all octopuses have 8 tentacles?
Yeah, they all have 8. That's how they got their name.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they can detach them if they need to. They can actually almost think independently their tentacles and their suction cups.
Like Lego.
When they grab onto stuff, yeah.
Can they regenerate the tentacles as well if it's involuntary, if it was like bitten off and they don't?
Yeah.
Okay, so either way. It's not.
Yep.
It's not.
They can drop it, or they can regrow it if it's been bitten off.
Okay, well that's good. That's nifty because I'm sure it's not always a planned procedure. All right, so my friend the octopus, I have been told, I've read that the octopus is most likely going to resemble alien species that might come to Earth or might exist in these sea planets and whatnot, and I'm not sure why. And I'm hoping that you have some answer for me as to why every sci-fi writer seems to think that the octopus is the alien of choice.
Well, I'm sure it's partly because of their survival they've been around for hundreds of millions of years. And I think that that's partly something to do with it. They're a little bit different than every other cephalopod out there. With their DNA is slightly different. So maybe, who knows if it was an alien species at one point or not, and now it's just here. I don't know.
Well, we might have all been alien species at some point, depending on what form of panspermia or panspermias you subscribe to, if any. What is the big difference between an octopus and a squid?
The big difference between octopus and squid have 6 tentacles, and they definitely, the squid's kind of like the octopus's dumb cousin. Okay, not at all smart and big brained like the octopus at all. But yeah, we call them the dumb cousin. But they're similar in shape. They don't have the same camouflage or anything. They do have the same type of ink that they can spit out for defense, but they don't have really the same camouflage abilities or any of the real intelligence like the octopus has.
Do they have the beak and the venom as well?
They do have a beak. Now, venom, no, I don't think that they do have any venom. We dissect squids sometimes for students, and they have a very small beak compared to some of the bigger octopus. But, yeah.
How big does the giant squid get? I mean, I know somewhere, someplace, we're hoping there's that 40-footer. But what is the typical size of an actual giant squid?
Yeah, I think that the largest giant one we've had in recent memory was about 20 feet.
Okay, so big, but
I know a professor down in New Zealand was dealing with one of those.
Is that including the length of the tentacles?
Yeah, that's from kind of the top of their body all the way down to the length of their tentacles. I'm pretty sure they still have that thing in New Zealand.
Isn't there
at
like
the University of Auckland?
Isn't like a really cool Latin name for the giant squid? Isn't it like Architeuthis or something awesome like that?
Oh, I don't know the Latin name for a squid. No.
All right. Well, I guess everyone can Google that.
Squid we use as bait. It's not my thing. That's the only time we use squid is for bait.
And calamari is delicious, as is a good octopus.
That's true.
A good pulpo. All right, so we're going to move.
No, you can't eat those. They're way too smart.
No, right. Nobody eats.
We don't.
Yeah, nobody eats the octopuses or the octopi.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah. Octopuses, octopi. You don't want to eat those. They're just too smart. They're pretty remarkable creatures. Not only can they change their color, but they can change their skin texture to mimic rock. Some of them can do it to where they can mimic other sea creatures. They can look like different fish or a horseshoe crab or something.
Did you see the Netflix show My Octopus Friend?
I did not.
Okay. It's like people ask me, do you watch Law & Order? And the answer is I don't. I did at some point, but it's like, it feels a little bit like regular life. And so I was wondering, I was wondering if the octopus is really that smart, or if they sort of glamorized it more than it really is. But since you haven't seen it, I mean, is it true that sometimes when they just, want to amuse themselves, or for whatever reasons, maybe they're protecting territory, that they chuck rocks and things at passing fish?
They they are either playful or just very angry. They do stuff like that. They'll even sometimes when divers are around, they'll come and wrap around your mask or try to take your mask off and stuff. Again, playful or ticked off that you're in their area. Not so sure sometimes.
All right. So your specialty is the rays and the sharks. I mean, we mentioned that, so let's not give them short shrift. I mean, I may be obsessed with octopuses, but I think most people are obsessed with shark. After all, there's no Octopus Week every year on the Discovery Channel. There is, however, Shark Week.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, aside from the tigers of the sea, the apex predator of the sea, what is it about? Well, I'm going to go back up a little bit, because I've been told, and I've read, I'm not sure, that there's 5 species that have survived all 5 mass extinction events on Earth. I don't know how people know this. I guess it's through fossil record, this, that, and the other thing. And what is the sharks?
Right.
Crocodilians, which I'm not sure if it's all crocodilians, and that doesn't matter right now. Horseshoe crabs, tardigrades, and scorpions, which seems like a strange mix. I was hoping the octopus might make it in there, but maybe they missed out on one of them, or didn't evolve yet. Who knows? But what is about the shark that makes it so resilient that it could survive when so many other species of fish couldn't, and it could survive when, well, presumably there wasn't all that much food around?
Right. I mean, they have been around for about 450 million years, which is a very long time. And they have just adapted into kind of the perfect fish. I mean, that's basically what they are. They're the apex predator. Nothing's really eating them, although some, like a killer whale could. But for the most part, nothing is eating them. So they're at the top and they get their pick. And they're also kind of non-discriminate eaters sometimes. They can go from sea turtles to horseshoe crabs to conch shells to, their normal diet of fish and squid and like that. So I think those things help them adapt and survive when there's not as many fish around. They could switch to turtles or crabs or whatever.
Are they solitary, or do they live in groups, or does that differ by species?
So it differs by species. So a lot of the species are very solitary. We have some species like scalloped hammerheads that congregate in the hundreds. A lot of the species even sex segregate. So all the female sharks will be in one area and all the male sharks will be in a completely different area. And they don't really mix unless they're mating.
Well, they're very religious.
That's it. It's like boys and girls school.
That joke really landed.
That's how it works. Yeah. In our area, we have bonnethead sharks that are predominantly a female population. And we have been doing this 14 years, but in this area, this will be our 12th year. And we've caught hundreds and hundreds of female bonnetheads, but only 3 males.
Oh, interesting. Why do you think that is? Are they more passive? Are they just more plentiful? Are the males just warier and run away more?
Well, one of the things about sharks is that we really don't know a lot about a lot of the species of shark. There's still species of shark that we don't know where they mate, where they pup. We don't know a lot about them, especially with rays. It's kind of the same thing. So some of that stuff is just best guess on why they're doing that. Because we have a lot of sharks that sex segregate, then we have a lot where it's 50-50 ratio male to female inshore or coastal. So it's kind of hard to say.
Does marine biology encompass like amphibians as well as fish, like animals that live on sort of both, like an alligator that can go on land but prefers to be on sea? I mean, I imagine you don't study the hippopotamus.
Right. No, we don't really do amphibians at all. It's not that we don't touch on them at all, but that's not really our focus.
Mm.
Our focus is marine life, marine ecosystems, and their interaction and their biology. And conservation too. We do a lot with conservation because obviously there's all kinds of threats to marine life right now. And so a lot of our students want to deal specifically with that.
I mean, I imagine that there's certain overlap or exception. I would imagine like sea turtles are probably something that falls within your, jurisdiction, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Reptiles we do. And sea turtles we deal with quite often because we have them as bycatch in some of our gear that we're using to study sharks because, again, the sharks, like especially tigers, their favorite food are sea turtles. So where you're going to find tigers, you're going to find sea turtles as well.
Right. All right. So what are some of the threats that your college and your school are focused in, that some of the students are working on and that your staff are working on the education? What are your concerns? Go ahead.
Number one's got to be just overfishing a shark for shark fins. So somewhere around 150 million or so sharks get killed every year for just their fins. And they're getting shipped off to Asia for shark fin soup. The really distressing part of that is what they do is they cut the fins off the shark and then they throw the body of the shark back in the water. So they're wasting these sometimes huge sharks. Sometimes sharks are critically endangered, like our great hammerheads, that they're just finning and taken off to Asia to eat in soup, which, of course, we think is a little ridiculous since it doesn't add any nutritional value or anything. It's really just a texture and a status thing over there. If you can afford it, then you're somebody. It's like wearing a Rolex for people over in Asia to be able to afford shark fin soup. Pollution, marine plastics, a lot of the coastal pollution is a big deal. We have a lot of our bull sharks here with a high presence of birth control in their systems because they're super coastal and that stuff washes out into the sea and we don't know how that's affecting them. We have all kinds of other threats. Like I said, with coastal pollution is the big one.
Well, when you say birth control, do you mean like used condoms?
No. They have like estrogen in their system from birth control pills.
Oh, actual pills
that women have either flushed or whatever, and end up in the water system where the sharks are at, near coastal. Because a lot of the bull sharks, they like to be near the fresh water, so that's right where everything's washing in. So they have a higher level of estrogen in their system.
Are we testing?
We don't know how that affects their reproduction right now.
That's an interesting question. I'm just wondering. I mean, there's other things statins are very prevalent. Antidepressants are very prevalent. I'm not even trying to make jokes about these things.
Right.
Like, we have no idea if those things are present and how those would affect not just sharks, but any other marine life. Birth control is very frequent, but so are these other things. There's generations raised on Adderall. I imagine that flushes into the water, same as anything else.
Exactly. And switching back to octopus just for a minute, we have the same overfishing problem with octopus. They catch and kill around 90 million octopus every year for mostly food over in Asia.
All right. Well,
so we don't want to see the octopus leaving either, but sharks are critical to marine environments. They're really critical to the ecosystem. They're what keep the marine ecosystem in balance. And if we lose our big sharks, our top predators, then it can cause trophic cascades where we have no fish and no anything except maybe algae and jellyfish in an area like that. And so that's something why sharks are so important.
Well, also, while numerically it's much more difficult, but as you overfish the other food sources, that's sharks are going to start taking more bites out of people as well because they need food.
Well, sharks don't really like people as a food source. They typically bite somebody and basically you're like, man, you're disgusting. I'm going to go get something that I like that tastes better. We're really not on the menu. Unfortunately, just a shark the size of a great white or something bites you, it's way more traumatic than if a little black tip bites you, which is more typical.
I gotcha. Okay, so we're not so concerned about us becoming a food source for sharks. It's not going to get that desperate,
No,
even
I
if
don't
it
think
was.
so.
We don't taste good to them.
We don't. No, they don't like us too much.
Well, that's good, I guess. What about? I don't know how global you get, or if climate change is an issue or not. I mean, it would seem if glaciers are melting, that's. I mean, I assume it's freshwater, but maybe it's not. I don't really know. Does that change the oceans, or just does having
It does.
Yeah,
from freshwater introduction, which lowers the salinity. Climate change is pushing a lot of ranges for animals north. Even in this area, we never would see sawfish. Sawfish are something that are farther south of us normally, but now we're starting to see those in the area. They're pretty awesome. We like our sawfish, but they're not supposed to be up here. Even the mangroves are starting to go farther north. Everything can move because of climate change, because of the water increasing, the water temperature increasing.
And the jet streams and the wind patterns change, and that impacts the surface temperature, and that drops down. I mean, I guess everything has a cascading effect.
It really does. Climate change is a big deal for everything that lives in the ocean. So many people rely on food from the ocean. They get their protein source. Estimated around 3 billion people rely on, marine resources to eat. So protecting the oceans and the life in it is a big deal. So
warmer fish and sea creatures that prefer warmer water or more temperate, they can range further north. Where do the fish that like the colder water go?
Yeah, well, they have to go into deeper water, or they could potentially die out, like our corals. Corals can't handle that cold water like that. And so the more cold water introduction they get, the more coral die-off you're going to see, which is, again, affecting the whole ecosystem.
What are some things that we as people can do to try to curb this?
Well, to be honest, it's a little difficult as far as the whole climate change goes, for individuals. For us in our expertise area for sharks and rays, we tell people, of course, look out for shark finning bans, sign anything related to banning of shark finning. We tell them don't buy anything shark related, don't buy jaws and teeth and things like that, because that just encourages more people to go kill sharks to get that kind of thing.
Right.
Responsible fishing is a big deal. If you're out fishing, you catch a shark, best thing to do, get them close to the boat, just cut the line and let them go. They can live with hooks and line in their mouth all day long, but they cannot tolerate being out of the water for very long. Most of our sharks are, what we call obligate ram breathers, where they have to swim forward to push water over their gills to breathe. Not all of the sharks are like that, but a vast majority are. And if you stop them from doing that, like bringing them out of the water and putting them on your boat while you're taking your pictures and trying to take the hooks out and like that, it really increases their chance of dying. So responsible fishing is another big thing.
Is that why they say if a shark's not moving, it's dying? Because that's how they breathe?
Yeah, it can. Now, not all our sharks are like that. We have some sharks like nurse sharks that can sit on the bottom all day long. But if you stop a great hammerhead, there's no way for him to breathe. If he doesn't have water flowing over his gills, he can't breathe. If he doesn't breathe, great hammerheads are actually pretty sensitive and they'll die fairly quickly.
Do they sleep?
They don't really sleep. They kind of just go into a slower pattern and kind of slow motion. How about rest?
So they move, but they're sort of dozing.
Right.
Yeah. So like a cat's always asleep, except when it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But more of a, maybe a little bit more formal. I don't know the right word to use, but something that would be, I guess, controlled by our medulla, or medulla oblongata. Those are words I remember from high school.
So when we actually board sharks, and we bring them on board, but we have a pipe with raw water that we're pumping water over their gills the whole time to substitute them from swimming. So this allows them to stay on the boat for a few minutes. We get all our measurements, we tag them, we do what we need to do, and then we put them back. We don't keep or kill anything in the process of our research. And we do have students all the time in the water filming the release of sharks, even big tigers. When the tiger goes in the water, if there's a cameraman, they completely ignore them and just leave. All they want to do is go away.
So we are always hearing how smart dolphins are, and porpoises and whales, and whale songs have these, different symbologies and whatever. I know that we don't know everything, but is that sort of more, wish speak, sort of in the, I want to say psychedelic, but that's not the word I want. More in the spiritual realm, and how smart is a dolphin? I mean, are they smarter than dogs? Yeah,
they're dolphins are super smart, smarter than dogs. They use more of their brains than we do, and they're definitely super intelligent. Sharks and rays, on the other hand, people often say, well, they're just fish. They don't know anything. But sharks and rays can actually be taught to do behaviors. There's been studies where they've gotten sharks to hit plates for food and to come up at an aquarium, to come up for like vet inspection. They'll come up and come up onto a platform for the vet to look at them. There's a marine biologist out in Phoenix. I think it's in Phoenix in Arizona that taught a ray to fetch. Like she would throw a yellow ring or a pink ring, and the ray would go get it and bring it back to her, like consistently, and put a GoPro on it, and the ray swam around with the GoPro. So they have some level of intelligence for sure, not on the level of dolphins. Dolphins are way smarter.
Can dolphins understand sign language? Are they sort of like chimps or apes, or is it just it's an entirely different being?
Yeah, I don't know that they could really understand sign language completely. They do understand hand gestures and stuff. That's how they get trained. They're self-aware. They can recognize themselves in a mirror. So pretty intelligent.
So every so often you'll see a video and it'll go viral of a dolphin rescuing, I don't know, like a dog or a cat in water or something like that.
Yeah.
Do they know what they're doing, or is it just dumb luck, or are they consciously rescuing?
Yeah, they're helping out for sure. They do that even with their own. So sometimes sharks will attack little baby dolphins, and the other dolphins will circle around the baby to keep the shark away from it. And really, a dolphin and a shark that are around the same size, it's like 50-50 who would win in a fight between the two. Mm-hmm. Dolphins ram sharks, and sharks have a huge liver, which is what they use for buoyancy. And dolphins ram them to hit them. They don't bite them, but they ram them, and they can go so fast they can kill sharks like that.
Wow.
But yeah, they're intelligent enough to actually help out with things.
So when I was young, I'm not sure how old you are, I'm not going to ask, but I'm 55. So when I was young, there were a few things I thought were going to be much bigger problems than they actually turned out to be. Quicksand being first and foremost among them, but shark attacks being another. But I was always led to believe as a child that if there was a shark attack, there was a good chance that there was a dolphin that would come and rescue me. And it's funny, the ramming, but always back in, this would be the 70s, the ramming was always to their gills where they breathe. But what you're telling me is it's actually more likely they were aiming for the rescue dolphins were aiming for the liver.
Yeah, they go for the liver. Yeah. Yeah, and they're probably not going to always come and save you, but chances of really getting bit by a shark are pretty small. there's so many sharks out there. You're swimming with them every time you go into the ocean, and they really have no interest in you at all. We swim with them all the time. It's been 14 years. I'm the only one that ever got bit by a shark, and that was a dumb story I probably shouldn't tell. So it's one of those things, where we had a shark on board, and we were releasing the shark, and I said, wait, let me get a picture. So I turned to look at the camera, and the shark bit me in the foot.
Ouch.
Yeah, that was just my problem, but my stupidity on that. But I had a good shoe on, which is all our students have to wear closed-toed shoes and all that. So the shark only got 2 teeth down into my foot. Not such a big deal. Didn't have to go to the hospital or anything, but it's a pretty good record for 14 years and probably about 6,000 sharks tagged.
Well, the stats seem to check out.
Yeah.
Since you're
I got barbed by a stingray way worse than the shark bite.
Okay, so
way worse.
We know that that's how Steve Irwin died, and I'm sure that was more just a tragedy of the placement more than anything else.
Yes,
but how? What happened to the crocodile hunter, and how the creature managed to kill him? I'm sure it wasn't trying to.
Right. So most of the accounts I hear are kind of Steve and the cameraman kind of cornered the ray. So it felt cornered anyway. Let's say it like that.
Right, sure.
So it whipped its tail, which has a barb near the base of the tail. And it was a big ray to begin with. So those barbs on there can be 9, 12 inches long and an inch wide at the base. And it went, into his heart.
Huh.
Those barbs are serrated. So they slide in really nice, but they don't come out so easy.
Right.
So when the barb came out, took heart muscle and everything with it. So it was just literally one of those freak accidents that, may never happen again. Most of the time when people get barbed, they get barbed in the foot or the ankle because they stepped on a ray. Sometimes in the hand because you're handling them. And the barbs themselves, like the toxin that's in the barb, is not deadly. As far as we know, nobody's ever died from it. And it was just the bad placement of that barb to enter into the heart as opposed to something else.
Yeah, it's like the vampire hunter shot, I guess.
Just
straight into the heart.
Extremely unlucky.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a little bit gruesome. But it's 20 years ago already, so I guess it's probably not news to too many folks. I'm sure that there are some things that you wanted to bring up that didn't come up. What, obviously you're doing the tour of podcasts and promotion. So, what is it that you wanted to talk about today that I didn't give you a chance to talk about in my questioning?
Well, really, I think just that students and parents out there, people that are going into marine biology need to realize that education just is not enough. When you graduate with a degree in marine biology, everybody else has the same degree as you. And when you go to get a job, that's not what they're going to ask. They're going to ask, what experience do you have? So you have to do something to gain that experience, whether it's, volunteer at your local aquarium, do unpaid internships, whatever it is. You have to get experience if you are planning on getting a job. That's why we started the college, of course, to integrate both academics and, practical learning, real experiential learning out in the field to such a level that we feel like when our students graduate, they're going to have so much experience that they're going to be obviously at the top of the pack when anybody's looking to hire. But students that are at other schools or whatever, that's what they need to look for, is to get as much experience along with their education if they really want to get a career.
Very good. 2 questions, both on the sillier side, but the first one not really silly, just unlikely.
Silly's okay.
Have you ever been sort of diving out there or heard stories where people dive in and they came across something where they felt like they needed to contact, a marine archaeologist? Like they sort of what might be a city or a road or something, and felt like a different specialty needed to go down there and maybe check it out.
Well, no, I used to run a dive charter for a while too, and I'm trying to think if we had anybody ever have anything like that happen. Not really that I can think of, where they found something that was just super unusual.
There was a guy in
Near
New
us,
Orleans who
what's
like,
that?
there was a guy in New Orleans who like found these ruins underwater in the Gulf of Mexico, not too far out, in there. And I think he named the city after himself, and like other people have gone there, and it's there, whatever it is. I mean, it's probably not a city by our definition, but it looks like it was real, and it's no shock. I mean, the water levels have gone up and down over time, and things sink and things rise up.
Continents have shifted and everything, and definitely stuff that was. I mean, if you think about it, half of America was underwater at one point, so there's definitely things that could be underwater that we have no idea about.
Yeah, and Doggerland and Sunderland are both, facts. They're not even controversial. I mean, Atlanta's still controversial, and the Bimini Road, apparently not a road, but still a neat sight to see. But
sure.
Now the silliest of the silly questions.
Okay.
But going back to that famous Seinfeld episode, would a Teistelist actually clog up a whale's blowhole?
Hey, you never know. It could. How about that?
That's fine, and the sea would indeed be angry that day, my friends.
For sure.
So, if people want to find out more about your school, the college, just give out all the information, how they can find and follow you and apply to the school, all that other good stuff.
Sure. If you're looking for our summer program for shark and ray research, coastalmera.com. So just coastal, MERA.com. For the college, it's just moremarinecollege.com. We have students in our summer program in their 40s and 50s. We had a lady a couple of years ago, a doctor who was 67. So it's really open to anybody that's interested in sharks and rays. It's tailored for our undergrad college students to get field research experience. And then the college is, full service. We're doing both academics and field research experience. So very cool thing. One last thing I wanted to say, if I have time, is
you do.
We're going to be doing something that I don't think anybody else in the world does right now. It's an underwater classroom. So what we're doing is we're having students go down with full face masks that have two-way communicators built in. So the professor goes down with them too. They go to, say, an artificial reef, and the professor can give a lecture down there. And then the students have the ability to ask questions and interact back and forth with the professor and their environment, all while they're underwater.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be a really great way for people to learn.
All right. So when you get a college named after yourself, do you get to call yourself Dean Moore?
I could. Yeah, I'm President Moore, but I'm the dean. I'm probably the janitor right now, but for right now, dean and president.
That's great. Which do you prefer to be called? Do you want to be called Dean Moore?
No, I'm good. I'm good with the president. That's fine. I'm going to let somebody else take control of all the discipline, if there has to be any.
All right. And what do you think of what's the event horizon on getting lasers on the top of sharks or at least dolphins?
I think it's going to be a little while, but we're headed in the right direction. Now,
listen, the star is a joke, but it's a little bit serious. So we have this situation, and we'll stay apolitical, but there are shipping issues right now in the Red Sea, in the Persian Gulf, in the Black Sea, and in the Bosphorus. Don't want to get into a naval confrontation, but is there some way that dolphins or other fish could be trained to put like magnetic bombs on the bottom of enemy vessels?
100% dolphins could do that. They could be taught to swim up to the underside of a vessel and attach a mine and take off.
Well, why is nobody doing that?
Well, hey, now the Navy works with dolphins and sea lions, training them to do things like that all the time.
I mean, the Black Sea Fleet is just...
One of our past students used to work for the Navy doing that, training dolphins and sea lions.
That is amazing. I would love to find out more about that, but I don't know. That sounds like a interesting operation. I mean, you of course want your trained asset to, but it could be on a timer, and then it swims back, and I'm sure they can figure it out. All right, very cool. So I'm glad I asked that semi-silly, semi-serious question at the same time. All right. Well, Dean Moore, I'm going to call you Dean Moore. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm really excited to have had a marine biologist on. I'm really happy to talk about the octopus, but really more importantly, your specialty of the rays and the sharks, and also all the good work and the field experience that your students will get that will give them a leg up. So I think this is really cool, and it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you having me.
All right. Terrific. All right, folks, and thank you for tuning in. And if you have an opportunity, you can certainly give him a follow, and you can give us a follow, and you can follow me on Twitter if you like, at IcarusFellMD. And you can also like and subscribe to the show and give a 5-star rating, a nice little review, and more importantly, referral to your friends, because we have like a little encyclopedia of interesting information in one place, so they can probably substitute 7 or 8 podcasts just for this one. So anyway, thanks for everybody for listening and your patronage.
Yeah.
And you'll hear from us again next week.
Diane Dacon from Queens College.
Oh, Diane.
How are you?
Good.
How long has it been?
Since college.
Huh. I've been seeing you on TV. You're doing great.
Yeah, plugging along.
I got the alumni magazine. Whatever happened to your friend George? I notice I never see his name in there.
Well, he's kind of modest.
He was always such a goof off. I mean, did he ever get anywhere?
Sure.
Yeah? What field?
Marine biology.
George is a marine biologist?
Yeah, pretty damn good one, too.
I can't believe it. I would never have thought.
Yeah, he's specializing in whales. He's working on lowering the cholesterol level in whales. All that blubber. It's quite unhealthy. It's the largest mammal on Earth, but as George says, they don't have to be. I did it for you.
I don't know what you had to tell her that for. You put me in a very difficult position, marine biologist. I'm very uncomfortable with this whole thing.
Yeah, with all due respect, I would think it's right up your alley.
Well, it's not up my alley. It's one thing if I make it up. I know what I'm doing. I know my alleys. You got me in the Galapagos Islands living with the turtles. I don't know where the hell I am.
Well, you came in the other day with all that whale stuff, the squeaking and the squealing and...
Look, why couldn't you make me an architect? You know I always wanted to pretend that I was an architect. Well, I'm supposed to see her tomorrow. I'm going to tell her what's going on. I mean, maybe she just likes me for me.
Your parents must be so proud of you, George.
Oh, they're busting.
What are all those people doing over there? What's going on over here?
There's a beached whale. She's dying.
Is anyone here a marine biologist?
Save the whale, George. For me.
So I started to walk into the water. I won't lie to you, boys. I was terrified. But I pressed on. And as I made my way past the breakers, a strange calm came over me. I don't know if it was divine intervention or the kinship of all living things, but I tell you, Jerry, at that moment, I was a marine biologist.
George, I've just been reading this thing in the paper. It's unbelievable.
I know, I was just telling them the story.
Well, come on, George, finish the story.
The sea was angry that day, my friends. Like an old man trying to send back soup in a deli. I got about 50 feet out, and suddenly, the great beast appeared before me. I tell you, he was 10 stories high if he was a foot. As if sensing my presence, he let out a great bellow. I said, "Easy, big fella." And then, as I watched him struggling, I realized that something was obstructing its breathing. From where I was standing, I could see directly into the eye of the great fish.
Mammal.
Whatever.
Hey, what did you do next?
Well, then, from out of nowhere, a huge tidal wave lifted me. tossed me like a cork, and I found myself right on top of him, face to face with the blowhole. I could barely see from the waves crashing down upon me, but I knew something was there. So I reached my hand in, felt around, and pulled out the obstruction.
What is that, a Teistelist? A hole in one, huh?